So, you're walking down the street, feeling good, haven't seen your ex for maybe weeks, months, maybe even over a year, and you're feeling like all the wonderful release work and the inner dialogue that you've had with your inner child has worked phenomenally well, and you've let it all go and you're moving on. Next chapter about to be written. And then you see in a restaurant window, there's your ex gazing lovingly into the eyes of the person who appears to be the new partner, the new beloved. Or maybe you're in the fruit aisle at the farmer's market, and you're going through the apples and the pears and the bananas and the strawberries and deciding which ones you want to take home for a lovely dinner as dessert. Or maybe you're at a fall festival or an Oktoberfest of some sort, or a holiday event. Or maybe you're at a dance, a party. You've gone to the movies with someone new and you're feeling relaxed and your guard is down. And there is that person. There is that person, and you feel, as many of my clients have described to me, like you've been punched in the chest, a baseball bat to the heart. And suddenly you can hardly catch your breath, and maybe you feel dizzy, and maybe you feel like, oh my God, I've got to flee, or the opposite sometimes, like seeing that person again. You're filled with thoughts of maybe we're seeing each other because it's destiny, fate is stepping in, and I'm supposed to go and make an overture to let him or her know, as the case may be, that maybe we should have a cup of coffee and see what's possible. Oh my God, I feel for you. Many of my clients have told me over the many years I've done dating coaching and intuitive life and relationship coaching and love mentoring, that they've been up until 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, absolutely ruminating like an endless loop tape about what went wrong, what happened, what could have gone better, what they could have said, what they might not have done, and just generally driving themselves crazy all over again. After all the work and all the releasing, just when they had gotten to a point where they feel like they've put it behind them. What to do? Let me give you an action plan. It is so human and so understandable to feel that sense of shock. What has happened very often, I believe, is that, first of all, you were caught off guard. You weren't expecting to see them. You were relaxed. You were enjoying the day or the evening, and you just really were being yourself and getting on with your life. How wonderful. What an accomplishment that is, considering what you have been through. Please give yourself credit for that. And even though it may feel like all is lost, it isn't. Really, it isn't. Part of my action plan today is going to deal with those feelings and what to do about them and what to do with them and how to work through them. But right now, I just want to help you understand, if I can, a little bit about the mechanics of what has occurred so that you will not be hard on yourself and you won't feel like you've fallen into the abyss. It can feel that way at times. It can feel totally overwhelming. And I'd like to spare you that as much as I can. Part of what happens is what I call the pot roast effect. What is the pot roast effect? Well, I had a remarkably complex and fascinating grandmother, a woman of many positive and many challenging behaviors. One of her most extraordinarily wonderful behaviors was that she was very creative in the kitchen. She was creative in many areas. She was very artistic and had all kinds of great love for the arts and culture, music, etc., etc. But when it came to certain dishes, homemade applesauce, wonderful, wonderful chicken dishes, wonderful things she did with vegetables, but the pot roast was the pièce de résistance. And when she would make that, it would fill her home with such extraordinarily fabulous fragrances. Dill and basil, and rosemary, thyme, potatoes, carrots, apples, yeah, and what else? Onions. It was amazing. And she would let it cook, let it simmer for the longest time, hours and hours. And then, with that extraordinary fragrance still in the ethers of her home, you wouldn't get to eat it the first night. No, that would not do, because the flavors had to have time to enrich and marry together. It would have to be covered and put in the refrigerator until the next day, when you would have it for a midday lunch. By that time, you just couldn't wait to have it. And that fragrance, again, that fragrance, and all the love and the time and the care that she put into it, it was all there. So why do I say the pot roast story is relevant to the first time you unexpectedly encounter your ex and see them perhaps with someone else? It's because any time in my life that I am in a situation where I go to someone's home, or I'm standing outside of a restaurant, let's say online at a movie theater, and that restaurant has their exhaust fan bringing out the aromas of pot roast, I am suddenly flooded, all my trillions of cells, with the remembrance of my late grandmother, the love she put into everything she did, the love she and I shared, which was extraordinary and eternal, I believe, because she's kind of still around in the planes of consciousness, still very much a part of my heart, and always will be. And I think that's pretty much what goes on, only it's not the pleasureful thing. It's the illusion. It's the remembering of what that person's touch was like when it was good, what it was like to make love together, when it was still good, when you were in that seduction phase, when they were luring you in and making you feel like the most extraordinary being ever to grace the earth and grace their lives, before the predictable pattern of turning on you, becoming incredibly sarcastic, cutting, degrading even, demeaning at times, triangulating with other people, speaking against you, smearing your reputation, breaking all the wonderfully made, beautiful promises, having erratic mood swings, cheating on you very often because they couldn't be faithful, being emotionally unavailable, being indifferent to you, gaslighting you. The list goes on and on. It seems almost infinitely, and yet in that moment, it's the pot roast effect, and it can be devastating. And it can make you feel like all the work you've done and all the releasing and all the moving on hasn't happened at all. But that's not true. It has happened. You have moved on. This is a little temporary setback. That's all it has to be. And then you can move on again and go into the happiness and the joyfulness and the welcoming, when you're really ready, of the new person for your companion, lifetime companion. So I would tell you, all is not lost, and I want to share some golden nuggets with you based on my 30 plus years working with people, many of whom are survivors of relationships with energy vampires, drama queens, drama kings, narcissistic personalities, etc., etc. Overall crazy makers. They run wild in our culture. There's just no denying that. So, golden nuggets, I like to call these, of insight that I feel will form an action plan to help you deal with this here and now. Because the longer you wait, the longer you ruminate in that endless loop tape fashion, the more you drain your life force energy, the more you exhaust yourself, the more you take all that marvelous, reinvigorated stamina for life and waste it on a situation that is very likely going to only bring you more frustration, more sorrow, more pain, more regret, and then you have to go all over again and start to forgive yourself for allowing that to happen yet again. The old saying that I've used before on other videos, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I don't want it to be shame on anybody. The world has enough pain. Let's talk about healing. So golden nugget number 1 for today. From my heart, right to yours. Acknowledge yourself for all the progress you've made already. And realize that just as when we learn to walk as toddlers, we sometimes take a step back. We sometimes fall, and it's in picking ourselves up and dusting ourselves off and starting up again that we strengthen those leg muscles, those muscles in our feet, the knees, the back muscles, our hands, our arms, and we get more and more favorable results. Next golden nugget, don't give up. Don't feel discouraged. And if you do, acknowledge the feeling. Let yourself feel whatever it is that's coming into your awareness, reminding yourself that emotions are just that, emotions. Energy in motion. The energy of shock sometimes takes us back to what was good in the relationship, and sometimes we are forgetting temporarily to remember all of the pain, the sorrow, the unpredictability, the illogical behaviors that drove us bonkers at the time and that have left us often in a state of exhaustion afterwards. Next golden nugget, remember that through journaling, through exercise, through making it visual with vision boards, sculpting, dancing, singing, all kinds of other techniques, including visualizing what it is you really want, getting the feeling, the emotion, the joy of it, you can let it go. Next golden nugget, consider, if you haven't already, getting some professional coaching. Trying to do all of this alone is hard work, and it is often unnecessarily extended by the fact that this is not your field. This is not your profession. You have areas of expertise. People like myself have specialized in helping you over these kinds of very challenging at times issues that sometimes feel like bottomless pits. And the next and last golden nugget for today is, please, 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 remember that just because in that moment you felt a warmth perhaps, or in that moment you felt some old anger rear up, excuse me, it doesn't mean that all your work has been lost at all. It's just symptomatic of the fact that you have some more healing to do. If you've met the ex again unexpectedly, and you've had an interaction, and you can truly just wish that person well, or at least be neutral about them, you will know that you can gauge that you have perhaps healed to a level where you really can be open to meeting a new person. Be careful to protect your heart, and remember that if you've had a very strong reaction, either negatively or positively towards that person, you may very well not be in a position to take on a new relationship. You could do serious harm not only to your own emotional life, but to the other person who's coming in feeling in all their innocence like you're really ready because you're saying you're ready, but you're not. Be careful to just keep relationships on a friendship level until you truly have cleared away the binding influence of the past through this ex and any other exes that you've had in your life. I'm Beverly Banor Brown. If you haven't already, I do hope you'll watch my other videos, especially the ones on radical gratitude, inner peace now, authentic dating, authentic dating, holistic wellness, etc., with new ones to be added frequently. Okay then, bye for now, and many, many blessings.